friendship isn't measured by the years you've known someone, but by the energy you bring into their life every time you're with them. The greatest gift you can give a friend isn't advice, it's your full, undivided presence. True friends don't just see who you are, they reflect who you're capable of becoming. When we think about friendship, most of us imagine moments, laughing over coffee, late night conversations, or simply being there when someone needs us. But beneath the surface of those shared experiences is something much more powerful, something invisible yet deeply influential, the exchange of energy. Every interaction you have with another person leaves an imprint, like ripples in water after a stone has been thrown. Those ripples travel outward, sometimes in ways you don't see or realize, shaping the quality of the connection and the emotional space between you. Think about it. When you meet a friend who is excited, hopeful, and present, you feel that energy radiating from them. It lifts you, it's contagious. In contrast, when a friend approaches you weighed down by resentment, constant complaints, or self-absorption, you feel that too, and it can drain you. This is not some abstract, poetic idea. It's a biological and neurological reality. Your brain and body are constantly reading and responding to the nonverbal signals of others. Their tone of voice, facial expressions, posture, and even their breathing. Your nervous system, without your conscious permission, is syncing with theirs. Science has shown us that humans possess mirror neurons, specialized brain cells that reflect the emotional states and actions of others. When a friend is joyful, your mirror neurons activate in a way that allows you to feel some of their joy. When they are anxious or agitated, you can feel your own heart rate and breathing change in response. This is why the energy you bring into a friendship matters so much. You are not just interacting with words. You are communicating through the electromagnetic field of your heart, the tone of your thoughts, and the unspoken intention behind your actions. If you want to be a better friend, you have to start by becoming aware of your own inner state before you step into an interaction. If you're rushing, stressed, distracted, or carrying anger from something unrelated, that energy will leak into the space between you and your friend. You can't hide it, because we are all wired to detect authenticity. A smile that isn't backed by genuine presence is felt as hollow. A "how are you?" that is asked without actually wanting to know creates distance rather than connection. This awareness requires slowing down enough to check in with yourself. Before you answer a phone call or send a text, pause for just a few moments, breathe, ask yourself, what energy am I about to bring into this space? This single act of self-awareness can shift the tone of an entire interaction. Instead of unconsciously projecting stress or impatience, you can choose to bring calm, openness, and genuine interest. That choice not only changes the way your friend experiences the moment, it changes your own neurochemistry. You start creating a positive feedback loop of connection and trust. Friendship is not about the frequency of contact as much as it is about the quality of presence. You could see someone every day and still not feel close to them if your interactions are shallow or distracted. Conversely, you could see someone only a few times a year, but feel deeply connected because every meeting is infused with authenticity and presence. This is the energetic dimension of friendship, being fully there, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Consider the times in your life when you felt most supported by a friend. Chances are it wasn't because they gave you advice or solved your problems. It was because they held space for you. They listened without judgment. They made you feel safe to express your truth. That safety is a form of energetic generosity. It's the gift of offering your undivided attention, your compassion, and your willingness to be present without needing to control the outcome. And it goes both ways. Just as you can lift a friend's energy through your presence, you can also unintentionally lower it if you're not aware of what you're projecting. Being a better friend means taking responsibility for your side of the energetic exchange. It's not about being perfect or pretending to be happy all the time. It's about being real while also being conscious of how your inner state affects the space between you. You can start to cultivate this awareness by practicing mindfulness in your interactions. When your friend is speaking, notice if your mind is drifting to your own stories or preparing your next response. Pull yourself back into the present moment. Notice their eyes, their tone, their body language. Let your attention rest on them fully. When you do this, you are communicating something powerful without saying a word. You matter to me. I see you. I'm here. Over time, this kind of energetic presence builds a deeper bond. Your friend begins to feel that they can trust you with their real self, not just the curated version they show to the world. And in return, you feel more connected, more fulfilled, because you are engaging in a relationship that is alive with mutual respect and understanding. The space between you becomes a place of restoration instead of depletion, a place where both of you can return again and again to refuel emotionally and spiritually. This is why the greatest friendships often have a certain ease to them. It's not because they are free from challenges, but because both people take care of the energy they bring. They see the friendship not as something that happens automatically, but as something they actively create with every interaction. They understand that friendship is an ongoing exchange of presence, empathy, and authenticity, and they approach it as a living, breathing connection that needs to be nurtured. Empathy is often spoken of as if it's simply a personality trait, something you either have or you don't. But the truth is, empathy is a skill, a mental and emotional capacity that can be developed, refined, and strengthened over time. It's rooted in the way your brain perceives and processes the world, and like any mental capacity, it can be rewired through conscious effort. To be a better friend, you have to expand your ability to step outside of your own perspective and step into another person's experience. This doesn't happen automatically. It requires a willingness to recondition your mind so that understanding becomes your first instinct, not judgment. Your brain is designed to filter the world through your personal lens, a lens shaped by your history, beliefs, values, and emotional conditioning. Everything you hear, see, and feel from another person passes through that filter before you respond. If your filter is clouded by assumptions, past wounds, or self-centered thinking, you will interpret your friend's words and actions through those distortions. You might misunderstand their intentions, take things personally, or fail to grasp the depth of what they're going through. This is why self-awareness is the foundation of empathy, because you can't fully step into someone else's world if you're unconsciously trapped in your own. The first step in rewiring your brain for empathy is to notice when you are defaulting to your own perspective. When your friend is speaking, are you truly listening to them, or are you mentally comparing their situation to your own? Are you silently judging, analyzing, or planning your response before they've even finished? The mind tends to operate in this self-referential mode, but empathy asks you to set that aside, even for a moment, and immerse yourself in their reality. It's like tuning a radio to their frequency. You can't pick up their station if your dial is stuck on yours. Neuroscience tells us that the brain changes in response to focused attention and repeated practice. When you consistently make the choice to slow down and inhabit someone else's perspective, you strengthen neural pathways that support empathy. Over time, your brain becomes more adept at reading subtle emotional cues, understanding unspoken needs, and responding in ways that make the other person feel seen and valued. This isn't about being a mind reader. It's about creating an internal space where another person's truth can exist without needing to be fixed, corrected, or reframed through your own lens. To cultivate this, you have to engage both your emotional and cognitive empathy. Emotional empathy is the ability to feel what another person feels, to let their joy, sorrow, or frustration resonate within you. Cognitive empathy is the intellectual understanding of their perspective, the mental capacity to imagine their thoughts and motivations. The most powerful friendships are built when both forms are active. Emotional empathy allows you to connect on a heart level, while cognitive empathy helps you respond with wisdom rather than being swept away by emotion. This dual empathy becomes especially important during conflict. When tensions rise, the brain's survival systems kick in. You may feel defensive, impatient, or eager to prove your point. In those moments, the part of your brain responsible for empathy, the prefrontal cortex, can be hijacked by the more primitive, reactive regions. To counter this, you have to practice emotional regulation. Take a breath. Pause before responding. Remind yourself that your friend's perspective, no matter how different from yours, is valid to them. This pause is not weakness. It's the very moment you interrupt the automatic patterns that destroy connection and replace them with choices that deepen it. Empathy is not just about reacting in the moment. It's also about proactively seeking to understand your friend's inner world. Ask open-ended questions, not to gather facts, but to explore feelings. Instead of "Did that make you mad?" ask "How did that make you feel?" Instead of assuming you know why they acted a certain way, ask them to share their reasoning. Curiosity is one of empathy's most powerful tools. It shifts you from the mindset of "I know" to "I want to know," and in that shift, the connection grows. Another key to rewiring for empathy is to challenge your own narratives. Your mind loves to create stories about why people do what they do, and those stories often reflect your own biases more than reality. The next time you find yourself making an assumption about your friend's behavior, pause and ask, "What else could be true?" This single question opens the door to seeing beyond your default interpretations and into the complexity of their experience. There's also a physiological element to empathy. When you genuinely attune to another person, your breathing, heart rate, and even brainwave patterns can synchronize with theirs. This is called physiological coherence, and it's one of the reasons being with an empathetic friend feels so calming and restorative. You can encourage this by intentionally slowing your breathing, softening your body language, and maintaining open, relaxed eye contact when you're with your friend. These physical cues signal safety to their nervous system, creating an environment where vulnerability can thrive. Practicing empathy also means honoring differences without trying to erase them. You don't have to agree with every choice your friend makes to understand and respect it. In fact, the ability to stay connected in the face of disagreement is one of the highest expressions of empathy. It shows that you value the relationship more than your need to be right. This doesn't mean abandoning your own boundaries or beliefs. It means holding them while still making space for another's truth. Over time, as you continue to practice empathy, you'll notice that it transforms not only your friendships but also your sense of self. You become less reactive, more patient, and more compassionate toward yourself. Because empathy, at its core, is about connection, and when you learn to connect deeply with others, you inevitably learn to connect more deeply with yourself. This rewiring of the brain doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent awareness and intention, it becomes second nature. You start to meet people not just at the surface level of words and actions, but at the deeper level of emotion and humanity, where the most meaningful friendships are born and sustained in our culture. there is a quiet but persistent pressure to perform in relationships. We often feel that to be a good friend, we must constantly have something valuable to offer: advice, solutions, entertainment, or the perfect words of encouragement. This mindset, though well-intentioned, can create a subtle barrier to real connection. Friendship, at its deepest level, is not built on performance, but on presence. True presence doesn't require you to impress, fix, or constantly contribute in some grand way. It asks only that you show up fully with your attention, your openness, and your willingness to truly be with the other person. Presence is deceptively simple, yet profoundly rare. We live in a world that trains our attention to scatter. Our devices buzz, our minds wander, and our schedules demand constant movement. When we sit with a friend, it's easy for our body to be in one place while our mind is already racing ahead to the next task. But the human nervous system is incredibly sensitive to attention. Your friend can feel when you are truly with them and when you are only partially engaged. And in the same way that sunlight helps a plant grow, your undivided attention nourishes the relationship in a way that nothing else can. The difference between performance and presence can be felt immediately. When you are performing friendship, your attention is inwardly focused on how you are being perceived, whether you are saying the right thing, whether you appear supportive enough, whether you're making them feel better. It's an endless self-monitoring loop that actually pulls you away from the person in front of you. Presence, on the other hand, is a release from self-consciousness. It is a conscious decision to shift the focus outward, to inhabit the same moment as your friend without the need to manage or control it. From a neurological perspective, presence changes the way your brain operates in an interaction. When you are present, your brain moves out of its analytical, judgmental mode and into a more receptive, open state. This is associated with increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain linked to empathy, problem solving, and emotional regulation. Your body also shifts toward a parasympathetic state, slowing your heart rate, softening your facial muscles, and signaling safety to the person you're with. Without saying a word, you communicate, "It's okay to be yourself here." That kind of safety is the soil in which trust grows. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate presence is through intentional listening. This is not the kind of listening that waits politely for its turn to speak. Its listening that seeks to understand without rushing to respond. It's allowing pauses, letting your friend finish their thought without interruption, and resisting the urge to jump in with your own stories. Sometimes, the most supportive thing you can say is nothing at all, because your stillness gives the other person space to explore their own thoughts out loud. Silence, when it comes from presence rather than disinterest, can be deeply healing. Many people carry unspoken burdens simply because no one has ever given them the space to speak without being corrected, minimized, or redirected. When you offer that kind of open space, you're not just hearing their words, you're acknowledging their existence in its fullness. You're saying, "Your experience matters enough for me to put everything else aside and give you my whole self right now." Presence also means showing up without the constant urge to fix things. There's a natural impulse, especially when someone we care about is hurting, to offer solutions or try to make them feel better. While this can come from a place of love, it can also unintentionally send the message that their current feelings are a problem to be solved rather than a reality to be honored. Sometimes the most powerful gift you can give is to simply witness another person's pain without trying to change it. This doesn't mean you're indifferent. It means you trust their ability to move through it, and you're willing to walk beside them as they do. There's also a freedom that comes with presence. When you are fully in the moment with someone, you are not comparing the interaction to past experiences or measuring it against future expectations. You're not mentally holding a checklist of what a good friend should be doing in this moment. You're allowing the connection to unfold naturally, which often creates moments of unexpected laughter, intimacy, and insight. These are the moments that become the foundation of the friendship, not because they were planned or polished, but because they were real. Presence is not limited to times of struggle. It's equally powerful in moments of joy. When your friend shares good news, are you genuinely celebrating with them, or are you distracted by something else? Enthusiastic, focused attention during happy moments strengthens the bond just as much as empathy during hard ones. Being fully there when your friend is excited validates their joy and makes it even more meaningful. To practice presence, you might start with small shifts. Put away your phone when you're with your friend. Make eye contact that is soft but steady. Notice your own breathing and slow it down, allowing your body to settle into the moment. When your mind starts to drift, gently bring it back without judgment. Each time you do this, you're training your brain to stay anchored in the now, which is where genuine connection lies. The truth is, your friends don't remember every word you say, but they do remember how they felt in your presence. They remember whether they felt rushed or valued, dismissed or understood. They remember the subtle but unmistakable sense of being truly seen. And that is the essence of presence. It transforms the relationship not by adding more, but by stripping away everything that distracts from the simple act of being fully with another human being. Friendship, like any meaningful relationship, will inevitably encounter moments of tension, misunderstanding, or hurt. In those moments, the way you respond can either deepen the bond or quietly erode it. For many people, the default response in such situations is emotional reactivity. Napping back when criticized, shutting down when uncomfortable, or lashing out when feeling misunderstood. Emotional reactivity is the unconscious, automatic way we defend ourselves when we feel threatened, and while it may feel justified in the moment, it often causes damage that is hard to undo. To be a better friend, you must learn how to break the cycle of reactivity and replace it with conscious, intentional responses. Emotional reactivity has deep roots in the human brain. When something your friend says or does triggers a painful memory, an insecurity, or a perceived threat, your amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, springs into action. It floods your body with stress hormones, speeds up your heart rate, and narrows your attention. In this state, you are not focused on understanding, you are focused on self-protection. You might interrupt, raise your voice, become defensive, or withdraw entirely. And in that reactive state, your ability to empathize, listen, or think clearly is significantly reduced because your brain has shifted into survival mode. Breaking this cycle begins with awareness. You cannot choose a different response if you are unaware that you're reacting. Start by noticing the physical signs of reactivity in your body. Tightness in your chest, tension in your shoulders, a sudden rush of heat, shallow breathing. These are signals that your nervous system is being hijacked. In that moment, your first responsibility is not to win the argument or defend yourself, it's to calm your body enough to regain access to the rational, compassionate part of your brain. One of the most effective ways to do this is through the pause. Before you respond, take a breath. This is not just a cliché, it's a biological intervention. Slow, deep breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, signaling to your body that you are safe. Even a pause of a few seconds can be enough to shift your brain out of reactivity and into a more thoughtful state. In that space, you create the possibility of choosing a response that builds the relationship rather than harming it. It's also important to recognize that your friend's words or actions are not always about you, even if they feel personal. Often, People's reactions are shaped by their own stress, fears, or experiences that have nothing to do with the present situation. When you take things personally, you intensify your own emotional charge, making it harder to respond with clarity. By separating your friend's behavior from your sense of identity or self-worth, you create emotional room to stay grounded. Another key part of breaking the cycle is learning to challenge the story your mind instantly creates in moments of tension. The brain has a habit of filling in gaps with assumptions. They don't care about me. They're judging me. They're trying to hurt me. These narratives often reflect your past wounds more than the current reality. When you notice yourself jumping to a conclusion, ask, is this fact or is this my interpretation? This small shift can open the door to curiosity instead of judgment, which keeps the conversation constructive. Practicing emotional regulation in friendship also involves humility. Sometimes, breaking the cycle means being willing to admit when you've overreacted. It's about valuing the connection more than your pride. Saying, "I'm sorry, I reacted instead of listening," can disarm tension and invite your friend into a space of mutual understanding. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means expressing them in a way that is honest but not harmful. Over time, as you strengthen your ability to pause, reflect, and choose your responses, you'll notice that your friendships feel safer. Your friend will trust that even in moments of disagreement, you won't attack or withdraw. They will feel free to express themselves without fear of triggering an explosion. That trust creates a deeper emotional intimacy because both of you know that the friendship can hold the weight of difficult conversations without breaking. Breaking the cycle of reactivity also requires compassion for yourself. You won't always get it right. There will be moments when you slip into old patterns and only realize it afterward. The goal is not perfection but progress. Each time you catch yourself, you strengthen your awareness, and each time you choose a calmer, more intentional response, you rewire your brain toward healthier patterns. This is the essence of emotional growth. You learn to meet challenges not with impulsive defense, but with presence and choice. It's worth remembering that friendship is not defined by the absence of conflict, but by the ability to move through it without losing respect and care for one another. When you break the cycle of emotional reactivity, you create space for empathy to grow. You open the possibility for real understanding because you are no longer trapped in the reflex to defend. Instead, you can hear not just the words your friend is saying, but the emotions beneath them, the hurt, the fear, the longing to be understood. That is where real connection happens, and that is what makes a friendship strong enough to last through both the easy moments and the hard ones. One of the most powerful roles you can play in a friend's life is to be a mirror, not a mirror that reflects back only who they currently are, but one that reflects back who they are capable of becoming. A great friend doesn't just affirm you in your comfort zone. They gently, consistently hold up a vision of your potential. They see your strengths when you forget them, remind you of your values when you drift, and reflect back your worth when you can't see it for yourself. This is not about criticism or pushing someone to change before they're ready. It's about becoming a steady presence that inspires growth simply by embodying it yourself. When you think about a mirror, its job is not to distort, hide, or exaggerate. It offers a clear and honest reflection. In friendship, this means being authentic in your interactions, showing your own flaws and humanity, not pretending to be perfect. When you live openly and truthfully, you create a space where your friend feels safe to do the same. This safety is the foundation for growth, because no one can evolve while hiding behind masks of perfection or fear of judgment. Being a mirror for growth begins with self-awareness. You cannot reflect someone else's potential if you are disconnected from your own. If you are trapped in patterns of negativity, self-doubt, or complacency, your energy will naturally communicate that to your friend. But when you are actively working on yourself, cultivating resilience, learning from mistakes, challenging your own limitations, you become living proof that change is possible. Your growth becomes an unspoken invitation for theirs. This kind of friendship is not about giving constant advice or trying to fix the other person. In fact, growth often happens not because of what you say, but because of the energy you model. When your friend sees you face challenges with courage, take responsibility for your actions, or step into opportunities despite fear, they begin to believe they can do the same. Human beings learn as much from what they witness as from what they are told, and friendship is a uniquely powerful environment for this kind of modeling because it is built on trust and emotional closeness. Part of being a mirror for growth also involves offering honest but compassionate feedback. This is not about pointing out flaws harshly. It's about reflecting back what you observe in a way that is rooted in care. Sometimes a friend can't see the patterns holding them back because they are too close to them. They may not realize that they are repeating an unhealthy behavior or undervaluing themselves until someone they trust reflects it to them. This requires courage on your part because it's easier to stay silent and avoid discomfort. But silence in the face of a friend's self-sabotage is not kindness. It is passivity. True kindness is speaking truth with empathy, trusting that the strength of your connection can hold the weight of honesty. The key is to communicate in a way that affirms their potential rather than condemns their mistakes. Instead of saying, "You always do this wrong," you might say, "I know how much you value your own growth, and I've noticed something that might be holding you back. Can I share it with you?" This frames the feedback as an act of support, not judgment. It reminds them that your intention is to help them become the version of themselves they want to be. Being a mirror for growth also means celebrating progress, no matter how small. When your friend takes even a small step toward a goal, acknowledge it. Growth often happens gradually and can be easy to overlook, especially for the person experiencing it. Your recognition helps them see their own momentum and reinforces their belief that change is possible. This validation is not empty praise. It is fuel that keeps them moving forward. It's equally important to hold space for your friend during setbacks. Growth is not linear, and there will be times when they feel they've slipped backward. In those moments, your role as a mirror is to remind them of the bigger picture, to help them see that one setback doesn't erase their progress. You can reflect back the resilience you've seen in them before, reminding them that they have navigated challenges and can do it again. Ultimately, becoming a mirror for growth is as much about who you are as what you do. It's about being consistent, grounded, and authentic in your own journey so that your presence naturally encourages others to rise. When you hold yourself to a standard of integrity, when you approach life with curiosity instead of fear, when you choose compassion over cynicism, you create a reflection worth looking into. Your friend begins to see not just their current self, but the possibility of a more expansive, courageous version of who they can be. Friendship at this level becomes a living exchange of inspiration. You reflect their light when they can't see it, and they reflect yours when you lose sight of it. Over time, both of you grow, not because you pushed each other, but because you created a relationship where growth was the natural outcome of being in each other's presence. The friendship itself becomes a kind of mirror, showing you both how far you've come, how much you've learned, and how much more is possible when you walk alongside someone who believes in your highest potential. Friendship, in its truest form, is not built on grand gestures, constant entertainment, or perfect harmony. It's built on the quiet, consistent choices we make in how we show up for one another. It is an energetic exchange where the presence we bring shapes the space between us. It is the willingness to rewire our minds for empathy so that we can truly see and understand each other beyond the surface. It is the choice to value presence over performance, knowing that our full attention is more powerful than any clever words we could offer. It is the discipline to break the cycle of emotional reactivity, to pause and respond with intention rather than impulse. And it is the courage to be a mirror for growth, reflecting not only who our friends are, but who they can become. When we approach friendship in this way, it becomes more than a social bond. It becomes a sacred space of mutual growth, trust, and transformation. We don't just share moments, we share evolution. We don't just witness each other's lives, we become part of the shaping of them. In doing so, we create friendships that not only last, but continually deepen, enriching both our lives and the lives of those we walk beside.